How to close motivated sellers the easy way. What is up, guys? Zach in here, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you exactly how to close motivated sellers the easy way. I'm also going to share with you exactly how to virtually close your sellers in 2025 where you stop stressing out. So many wholesalers, they get so stressed. They get so, oh my God, I got a motivated seller. He wants to sell his property. Oh, and y'all really be flipping out over the stupidest stuff, because I've done a lot of virtual wholesaling deals. I don't care wherever in the world I am. So currently right now we are in Hollywood Sign, Griffin Observatory, LeBron's over there. I'm in LA. I just need to be closer to LeBron James, honestly. I miss him in Miami. I'm in LA right now, Los Angeles, and I'm virtually wholesaling no problem here. Now, I do have virtual wholesaling acquisitions agents. I do have people that close pretty much for me. But every now and then I have to do renegotiation or, big dog's got to get on the phone and get it sold. And I get it from LA, pretty much no problem at all. I can just stare at the Hollywood Hills and get a deal closed. And the funniest part is so many people have so many excuses in their mind why they can't do it. It's like, why can I do it from halfway across the country and close a deal in Tennessee and get it locked up today when everyone's flipping out? Oh, I have to go in person. The truth about this business is you can close a seller anywhere in the world. It's really not that difficult to do. If you can follow a couple very, very simple steps, you can get deals closed really quick, really easy, and really simple. And what I'm going to do is just show you the easy way to close motivated sellers. I think everyone is flipping out. They want all these big scripts. They want these tips and tricks, and you're supposed to lie to a seller. You're supposed to do this and that. And I'll be straight up with you. I'm going to show you exactly today how you can just get a deal sold like that, and how to get as close to instant confidence as possible, and how you can sound like a pro over the phone and get it done. We're going to talk about in-person wholesaling. We are just going to go talk about local wholesaling, in-person, appointments, virtual, all these things, and really break down how you can just get on the phone and get a deal closed. Now, the type of person that I am, if I can get on the phone, pretty much I can just get the person closed. Very rare individual, but it's something you can teach and something I teach to my acquisitions agents. Yes, I'm not good at closing sellers. I don't need to close anymore. A lot of people, they get really good at closing. They feel like they have to be the only person. The problem is it's very hard to do that at scale. And if you get really good at just teaching other people to do it, then you don't have to do it yourself, which is really nice. And so let me show you exactly how, not just how I close, because sometimes you don't have an eidetic photographic memory like me. I can teach people from halfway across the world, VAs from the Philippines, people from Mexico, Argentina, and teach them how to close sellers too. And they're not as good as me, but they have so much volume that they'll make more than if I just did it all by myself. So how do you wholesale virtually the easiest way possible? Now, a lot of people get really freaked out. They cry all the time. Oh, I don't know how to close a seller. It's really simple. So how do we do closings the easy way? How do we close sellers, close deals, get wholesale deals the easy way? Well, I think most people, they look at closing the wrong way. A lot of people think closing is like this. I'm going to sell this. I'm going to pound the phones, Wolf of Wall Street. And that's just, frankly, that's not how closing works in wholesaling. Really, most people know closing maybe in the car space. If you are going out here and selling like coaching, the thing about coaching is nobody needs your stupid $14,000 close. Someone doesn't need your $14,000 coaching program on how to dispo a deal, close a deal, or find deals, right? Like, no one needs that. So you have to convince somebody to go buy your coaching program, because you don't really need it, because freewholesaling.com is free. And so I have to go do a couple things. And obviously this is what wholesaling is, but I have to get you emotionally riled up. You obviously have no money at all. So I have to go tell you to go put it on a credit card, go get some loans, go borrow money from your grandma, and then emotionally charge you up to get you to buy something that you don't absolutely need. The cool part in wholesaling is we actually help sellers. I'm not a stupid wholesaling coach that has to go sell you a course. So we're actually doing stuff that people actually need. And so I don't use tactics that real estate coaches use, because I'm very unique in my approach, because I don't pretend that you need something that you really don't. It's kind of funny. It's like trying to sell. It's like Oh, I cracked myself up. Okay. It's like kind of selling like a Louis Vuitton shirt. It's like a Louis Vuitton shirt is like what? Like a $500, $600. Do you need a Louis Vuitton shirt? No. You have to get people get all emotional and say, people will respect you if you wear this shirt. Would people really respect you wearing a $700 shirt? No. But, some salesman, some luxury shirt guy, store, whatever, has to convince you something stupid. And that's where most people look at closing. In wholesaling, closing is more about just qualifying a seller and seeing if they fit and then going from there. Closing is more, it's like selling an airplane. That's the best way I can describe it. And so if I'm trying to sell a private jet, 99% of the people I am probably going to talk to off the street do not need to buy my private jet. And the problem is, you get people like this that they try to go and, they go to the local hot dog stand and they try to sell a private jet to those people. And they're like, man, nobody wants to buy a private jet. Which, it's kind of funny. If you just go around a hot dog stand and say, hey, I know this sounds stupid, but it's like, okay, hey, what's your net worth? And everyone says, I don't have any money. I have 10 grand, 30 grand. And this thing guys, I have $10 million. It's like, oh, you have $10 million. Okay, well, let's actually get a deeper conversation with you here and see maybe you might need a private jet because your time is worth more than going, to an airport. And then you go from there. You go to the right areas. You go to an area, maybe you go to like the Hollywood Hill area where all the famous, whatever, rich people, snobs are. And then I'd go in there, go to that coffee shop and try to sell a private jet there besides going to, I don't know, Compton, Inglewood. I like Inglewood. But like going there, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of what wholesaling really is. And, I'm not trying to get in a full rant here, but a lot of guys in wholesaling are trying to sell private jets to people in the slums, and it just don't work. And you're using a lot of like real estate coaching scripts that are absolutely terrible. And so the way that I look at closing, it's more about qualifying and not forcing somebody to say, yes to something they don't really need. People that want to sell their property for cash, they actually want and need to get rid of their property for cash. They need to get the property sold quick. They want it for cash. They don't want the hassle, and they don't want to deal with a realtor. We are their only solution in a lot of these cases. They want all these things, they're good to go. A guy does not need a private jet, but he doesn't want to fly commercial and he has a lot of money. Boom, match made in heaven right there. So again, I'm going to use a sports analogy. Sue me. I looked at my Instagram today and it looks like I have 81% of my people that watch me are males. And I want it to be 50-50, but if I have 81% males, this message will probably, most guys know about sports. So, and most gals, know about sports too. So I thought about it. It's like, what's the most popular sport in the world? It's soccer. What sport is the most played sport from women? It would be soccer too. So it's like, what's the best analogy if I can get to the vast majority of people how to close a seller? And it's kind of a soccer analogy. You can technically use this for lacrosse and hockey. I think hockey is a really good example. I love hockey. Shout out to the Panthers. I go to a lot of hockey games. So I like the Panthers. Okay, so I like to look at it as, it's not about taking shots. It's about taking shots on goal. And this is a very, very important case because I get a lot of people that say, Zach, I'm taking so many shots, but they're just not going in. I guess they just suck. It's like, well, every shot you take goes over the net. Every shot you take curves around and never even. So the way I look at shots on goal is, I'm not a hockey player. I don't play soccer, so I don't have the full definition on me. Maybe if someone can look it up and tell me. But it's like, my definition of shots on goal is, if you take the shot and there's no goalkeeper, that would go in and be a goal. That's the way I look at shots on goal. So if I have, a puck, I'm going to do a slap shot, and if there's no goaltender and, no one defending the net, that will go in. That's how I look at a shot on goal, right? So if you have a shot that is not on goal, right? If you take the shot and it won't even go in the net if no one's defending it, right? There is basically a 0% chance that there will even be a goal from that shot. So you should, in essence, theoretically, only take shots that would, if no one's defending it, go in the goal. That will eliminate a lot of area where you should be shooting, right? The thing about it is, most wholesalers, they go out here, right? And they're just like, man, well, why does nobody want to deal with me? Why can't I get anything sold? The truth about why you can't get anything done is you're just not taking enough shots on goal. There's no shot that you took that would even be on goal. Because a lot of people spend all these times on leads that wouldn't even be deals. I'm calling it offers on goals. And so if you make an offer to somebody who would be a good wholesale deal, you're going to do it. But if you give an offer to somebody who wouldn't even be close to getting a deal, they're not even qualified, you are wasting your time, your effort, you're getting nowhere, right? So stop taking shots that aren't on goal. What you need to do is create offers and give offers to people that actually would end up being a good deal. So here's the interesting part, right? If you're playing soccer, right, and let's say you're at like the mid range, right? Or let's say you're playing hockey and you're right at the mid rink, right? Or basketball. Okay, actually let's use basketball. Everyone loves basketball, right? So if I have the basketball map, half court, and I just chuck up a half court shot, what will usually happen? Two things usually will happen. We're live. Let me know, guys. What happens if I just chuck up a half court shot and I got the ball? I'm on the Lakers. What will happen? Two things usually happen. Number one, the shot is 95% chance it gets missed. And what usually happens is it either goes out of bounds or there's a turnover. Very rarely there is an offensive rebound on a half court shot. Okay? And the problem about making a half court shot is, well, you could have dribbled maybe to the 3-point line or maybe dribbled to like the post and then made a shot that had like a 70% chance of going. But no, you just chucked up something that had a 5% chance of going in. And when you take a shot, more likely than not in basketball, the defense is going to rebound it. They have the advantage. And that's why there's more defensive rebounds than offensive rebounds, obviously, right? And the problem is you get a turnover. And so when you take a shot that's not on goal, you go out here and create turnovers. And when you get a lot of turnovers, you're done. You're cooked. You're not going to win the game. And so that's why, like in hockey, you don't take a shot that has an extremely low chance of going in unless, like, there's situations that call for it, but very rarely, right? And so what you want to do here is you want to create shots that are smart. And if you create enough smart shots, they usually go in. But if you're just chucking up, half-court shots all day, every day, there's a turnover. And this example works perfectly in wholesaling real estate. And what I mean by this is if you make an offer the wrong way even if it's the right seller, but you make an offer the wrong way, you do it the wrong way. So for example, hey, Mr. Seller, how much do you want for the house? 100. Would you take 84? I'll think about it. Okay. You're done. No deal. Okay. Howie Mandel. No deal or no deal. No deal. Because this is an example. We're going to talk about how to remove that, because that's probably one of the worst things you could possibly do. Like, by far, one of the worst possible things you can do in an offer is just chuck up a half-court shot. Oh, you want 100? Well, can you do 90? Can you do 80? I'm looking at the comps here, and it says I actually need to be at, let's see here, 84. I'll think about it. Okay, sir. Like, that's how I'm making fun of like half of every wholesaler here. But this is how you guys are making offers. And the reason I'm making this live stream right now is we had, the X-Leads Mastermind. I had somebody who, I kid you not, and this is insane. And shout out to, he's actually my age. He's 25 years old. Great guy. Awesome dude. I'm not going to name him so he doesn't feel bad. But we really broke down his business. And homeboy, in a month, and this is really impressive, he produced 120, I know this number to my brain. He produced 128 leads. 128 leads in his X-Lead CRM. And he got one deal out of 128. Because he was just, I'll be honest, he was just chucking half quarters. And he had it was very interesting, right? He was really good at producing leads. Like, these were not terrible leads. Like, these are people that all wanted to sell from texting and calling. But he was just absolutely awful. And so it's like he had so many opportunities. Like he had, we call them possessions, right? He had so many possessions in basketball, but every single time he got the ball, he just chucked a half court. And yeah, if you chuck 140 half quarters and you're an NBA player, some are going to go in. Some are going to go in. But what my coaching to this guy was, not really coaching because, it's mastermind, but I'm like, dude, all day today and all day tomorrow, you're just going to call those leads and do the closing system that I do. And I promise you, you can get an extra 2 or 3 deals. And that's what he's doing right. He's probably watching this live stream like, yeah, Zach's making fun of me. But I'm not making fun of you, but I'm saying if he just switched 2 or 3 things, his whole life changes. His 3 or 4 deals a month, it's insane. And if you can just remove the turnovers, those old basketball guys, it's all about the fundamentals. If you remove turnovers, they're a killer of the team. It's true though. And you're doing the same exact thing in your wholesaling business. You are just chucking up the worst possible shots. And it's not even that you suck at wholesaling. You might be really confident over the phones. You're producing great leads. But we just tweak 1 or 2 things and your whole game. It's like I'm using a lot of basketball. I thought I was going to use hockey and soccer, but I love basketball a lot. It's like if you're shooting like this, it's like, okay, wait, just shoot with your elbows directly towards the basket. And all they do is just do that and boom, now they're all going in. He just changed 1 extra thing. And this is a problem in a lot of virtual wholesalers. I have no idea why, but it's insane. So let's talk about exactly how to do this the right way. Okay, so first we got to talk about how to make offers that are actually going to land with the seller. Now, does anybody here know when you make an offer and they say maybe and you just say, yes, sir, and then, somebody else calls and gets just a slightly large. I'll be honest with you. In my market, I love those wholesalers. I just absolutely destroy them. I destroy the maybes because I'm the only person in wholesaling I've seen on, the internet that have removed every single maybe from all my CRMs. I don't get maybes. And it's insane to me that nobody knows how to deal with it, right? Drives me crazy. So let's break this all down, okay? First and foremost, a lead needs to be open for a yes. That's it. You must make an offer that gets a yes or no. So the main goal, right? What's a goal is somebody says, yes, I want to sell my property. Also, you want them to say, yes, I accept your offer, right? So let me ask everybody watching this live. Do you, when you give an offer to a motivated seller, do you want them to say yes when you give an offer? Yes or no? Let me know. Guys, do you want a yes when you give an offer to a motivated seller? Please let me know. Do you want a yes or do you want to know when you give an offer to them? You want a yes. Duh, right? Yes. I want somebody when I give an offer to say, yes, I want you to get a deal. All right? Why is everyone saying no? Go for no. There we go. Cha-ching. Okay. 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 There we go. Perfect. Tricked ya! Tricked ya! You do not want a yes with your offer. You want a no. You go for the no. Okay, at least somebody in here. Daryl, you're done. Get out of here, Daryl. Kim, you're right? No, you're not right. Just kidding. Okay, we love you, Daryl. We got to learn. So when you give an offer to a motivated seller, the goal is for them to say no. And you'll be like, what? What do you mean? Oh, yeah. When you give an offer, I was like, oh, what's going on? Why is everyone saying no? The reason why you might be like, what's going on is when you give an offer, you want to squeeze the most out of that deal. Here's the truth, okay? Daryl said yes, so let me ask Daryl this other question. Daryl, do you want to make $10,000 on a wholesale deal or do you want to make $60,000 on a wholesale deal? It's the same amount of work. All this is going to do is just the only difference between you getting a $10,000 wholesale deal and a $60,000 wholesale deal is an extra 15 seconds. Is 15 seconds worth $50,000 for you? Let me know. Is 15 seconds worth an extra $50,000? Let me know. 60K. There we go, bro. That's how we do it the right way. So here's the thing. All right. Why do we want to go for a no? The reason is, if I give there's two bad things that can happen when you give an offer. All right. Number one bad thing that happens is I say, hey, Mr. Seller, how much do you want to sell it for? They say, I don't know, you give me an offer. And then I say, okay, would you take 75? And they say, yes, that works for me. Let me put my clown makeup on and get ready for the circus. Because, yay, he takes 75. That's great. But here's the thing. That means, more likely than not, he'd probably take something lower. I'm like, what are you talking about, Zach? Well, if I said we take 75 and says yes, that means he'd probably take something lower. And so most people say, in negotiations, the first person to give an offer loses. So how do you flip that script? Well, give an offer so low that they have to counter you. So I always use the 3-year-old Oreo story, because this is the best story that I possibly have on why go for no always works. So let's pretend we're 3 years old. Okay, we got mom and I'm 3 years old, right? And mom says, Zach, baby Zach, do you want Oreos as a dessert for dinner? And I say, of course, I love Oreos. I'm 3 years old. Duh. Oh, that's so funny. And I say, and then she's like, okay, well, how many Oreos do you want? And then I say, I want 5,000 Oreos for dessert. And she says, no, we're not doing 5,000 Oreos. And I say, well, counter me. You get 1 Oreo. And I do this. I do this. Okay, let's do the spin. I do this. Well, how about you meet me halfway? How about if I want 5,000 Oreos for dessert and you want 1, how about we meet in the middle at 2,500 Oreos? That's true. We are meeting, we're compromising. Good job, Zach. You're going to get 2,500 Oreos for dessert tonight. It's about 500 Oreo boxes. Okay, let me know in the comments. Who won in that negotiation? Did baby Zach win that negotiation, or did the mom win the negotiation? Who won in that negotiation? Okay, obviously the 3-year-old won the negotiation, because when it comes to negotiating, if you have such ridiculous demands, but the other person meets you halfway to your ridiculous demand, you win. And so let's switch baby Zach to wholesaler Zach. This deal is worth let's use easy numbers, okay? The dentist one. Oh, geez. Lordy. Oh my gosh. Bruh. Okay, so let's say a deal sells to a cash buyer for $100,000. Make sense, everyone? Gotcha, okay. And the seller says, I want to sell my deal for 150 grand. And I'd say, well, I want to buy your deal for $50,000. It's like, that's way too low, Zach. I say, okay, well, if that won't work to you, why don't we just meet in the middle? It's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, if you're at 150 and I'm at 50, that's 200. We meet in the middle at 100, right? How does that work? It doesn't work, right? Because that means I'd lock it up for 100. You know why? Because the seller wants to sell for 50%. The seller wants to sell for 50 grand above what the thing's even worth. And then you want to lock it up for about 50 grand below what it's worth. So you both have, when seller and buyer both have insane demands, and when you meet in the middle, it's pretty stupid. But if the seller wants to sell for $100,000 and you decide you want to buy it for 50 and you meet in the middle, you make 25 grand. So if the seller has regular demands and you have insanely low demands, when you meet in the middle, boom, you make money. So I know that sounds kind of stupid, but you have to think about it kind of like a toddler in a point. I know that sounds weird, but that's exactly how you go out here and get really fat wholesale deals. One of the worst possible things you can do in the wholesaling real estate space that I found is when you just give an offer and they just blatantly take it and you're good to go, because that means you could have probably negotiated an extra 15, 20% of that deal. And I'll be frank with you, it's really tough to get deals. Like, I mean, you have to work really hard to get a good deal. And when you're not spending 30 grand a month in marketing, you want to get as much as you want of that deal, because the thing about wholesaling is if you just negotiate lower, you always will get an extra 10, 15, $20,000. Like, I mean, I know this sounds cliche, but like, what would an extra 20 grand do in your life? What would making an extra 20 grand a month do for you? Like, for most people, that's everything. And so why are we not spending any time talking about how to get the most out of these deals? Now, that's why I always go for something called go for no. You want a no. When you give an offer to a motivated seller, you want it to be super low. Now, you don't want it to be you don't want it to be outright disgustingly like insulting. There's a difference between getting a steal of a deal, like a really good deal, and stealing the house. Like, for example, if a deal's worth 100 grand and you want to buy it for $5,000, like, come on. But you offer like 50, 40, like that's 50% off is a good deal, right? So that's kind of how I kind of look at things, right? And so there's something actually worse than if you give an offer and someone accepts it. Does anybody know what that is? All right. There is one thing worse. This is Zach's ultimate cardinal sin of wholesaling when it comes to making an offer. Well, I think I already said, but like, hey, Mr. Seller, would you take 40 grand for your house that's worth 100? And guess what happens? Guess what happens? They say, maybe. Has anybody, let me know in the comments, has anybody had that situation ever? Where you gave an offer and they said maybe. Let me give you a story why I'm waiting for someone to see if they've been through that situation. Let me know how have you dealt with that situation? Okay, so let me explain. I once went out here, and not once, lots of times. I have a couple markets that are like 2 hours away from me when I was doing everything by myself. And I drove 2 hours to this house. Think about, 2 hours is a long drive, I believe, for an appointment. And I drive 2 hours and I go, and the person decided they wanted 150, and they told me over the phone they wanted 150, and the house was worth around like 150. So all I had to do is like, okay, well, all I have to do is get the guy down, like, worst case scenario, I get the guy down 10 grand, right? I'm such a slick closer, right? And I'm like, then I'll make 10 grand worth my time, right? I'm a teenager. So I'm driving here to the house and I say, I know you want 150, but like, it's just a little too high. Would you take like 130? Hoping he says, I don't know. And they say, well, why don't you meet me in the middle and make 10 grand, right? Homeboy hits me with I'll think about it and I'll call you back tomorrow. Guys, do you know what happens when the seller says, I'll think about it, I'll call you tomorrow? Let me show you, okay? This is what happens, all right? The first time I'm actually not in a studio, so I can do this, all right? This is going to be my example, all right? Where is it? I don't have any. Here it is. You're cooked. You're cooked. Hope you understand this. I need a visual represent. You're cooked, bro. You give an offer, and the person says, I'll call you tomorrow. Your pots and pans, you're cooked. You're done. All right? You might as well put the clown makeup on. You ain't getting that deal, bro. Okay? It is so bad. And it depresses me when people have this, because it's like, this guy, if he just knew how to condition a seller, he would go from no deal. He'd go from no deal to $20,000, $30,000. And the whole life has changed, guys. I see it every day in freewholesaling.com, every day on this YouTube channel, every single day in the Discord, of an 18-year-old kid that finds a motivated seller, takes my script, and then guess what happens from there? He takes my script and he goes and makes 30 grand. Whole life has changed, guys. I was that 16, 17-year-old kid with $25,000 in my first deal. You know what that does to an 18-year-old, a teenager, making 25, 20 grand on a deal, it changes everything. And you are so close to that. You just, like, you're right at the finish line and you just trip. Oh, wow. It's a police chase right there. It's like GTA in real life out here. This is actually kind of cool. There's a legit police chase. Oh, wow. Oh, they got spikes out there. I'm distracted. Jesus. Okay. Let's chill out for a second. Okay. But you just have to make an offer that the seller just can't say maybe. Did I make my point? Did I make my point? Is the point done? You're cooked if you get a maybe. I have yet to see one person get a maybe and then say something where most of the time the seller says, oh, I changed my mind. Guys, maybe is a cop-out. No pun intended. A maybe is a, I'm a little uncomfortable making decisions. You got to remember, most motivated sellers are in a situation because they're chronic procrastinators. They got their head in the sand, especially in like a pre-foreclosure, right? You know, they're constantly going out here and being procrastinators. And so when it comes to selling a house, they're of course going to be a procrastinator more times than not. And so if you let a procrastinator procrastinate, what do you think is going to happen? They're always going to go from the, I'll do it tomorrow. So you have to remove the maybe. So what you want from a motivated seller when you give them an offer is a yes or a no. Yes or no. So there's three things if you don't, there's three theoretical possibilities to give somebody an offer. A yes, no, or maybe. Now, I cannot tell you I can eliminate 100% of the time a maybe. But what I can tell you is I can eliminate about 99% of maybes. And I can get rid of most of them. There's still the person that will lie to you 1% of the time, but you can go from about, you know, how much are maybes? I don't even make offers that somebody can even say maybe to. I'd say about 25%. Virtual, maybe 35. And so you just got to get rid of the yes, no, or maybe, and just make it yes or no. That is it. It's just, and this is true, it is better to have a no than a maybe. At least with a no, you got to remember, there's a reason why I want you to say no. There's a reason. Because when someone says no, I don't want to take your low offer. Okay, well, what offer works for you? And then you do something in real estate, which everyone does. I have no idea why people in wholesaling are avoiding this now. It's called negotiations. It's called negotiating. This is standard in the real estate game. You just got to negotiate. Boom. Drives me crazy. So we got to make offers. Now, I used to, in wholesaling, and maybe I have matured, but I used to think wholesaling, when I used to make offers, right, I kind of just threw them all into what, oh, wow, there's the, homeboy's got 5 stars. You see the helicopter? He's got 5, homeboy got 5 stars in GTA right now. This is just like a GTA online lobby right now. This is so fun. I can do it from up here. I'm safe. Oh, wow, yeah, he's circling. It's actually kind of cool. Okay, I'm getting really distracted. You want me in a studio because we got GTA live lobby right here. This is so sick. Los Santos. Love San Andreas. Okay. We got a helicopter circling right now. Okay, so guys, if anybody can go on a helicopter live cam and tell me what in the world I'm watching, I would love to. Bro, Jesus. All right. Someone go to Radio Los Santos, tell me what's going on, but okay. But basically, what I'm telling you is I've matured and thought every single offer was just like, you know, it was just one and done. You can throw all wholesaling offers into there. But I've kind of matured. And I've created 3 wholesaling businesses. They're all separate. And I've kind of changed the way that I do offers with each one. And so I have 3 wholesaling businesses that everybody knows. I have a local wholesaling business in Florida. I have a virtual wholesaling business around pretty much everywhere in the whole entire country, 48 states, and I have a JV operations, and I do a lot of renegotiations with those. And the cool part is I can end up making about 30 grand a deal locally, 15, 20 virtually, some are bigger than others, and then JVs average about 10 grand an assignment because it's $20,000 fee split in half, right? And each way I make offers is a lot different. So let me tell you the 5 type of wholesaling offers that I have found in the wholesaling space. And I'm going to just give you the entire thing. But the one thing I can tell you in the wholesaling real estate game is I don't prescribe to most of these, but I'm going to tell you what all they are, okay? Number 1, ODN. This is the one where I do all of my offer. Like this is my bread and butter. I'm just giving you my bread and butter right now. We call it, Rick kind of created this phrase. I didn't even really think about it until like recently now, but it's called ODN, which means it's a motivated seller that is off market, direct to seller, needs to sell. This means this is not on the market. I'm the only one who dealt with a seller, right? So not a JV, and they need to sell the property. Not that they want, but they need to sell the property. This is where majority of where I give my offers go. Now, the next one is ODN virtual, where they're off market, direct to sell, and they sell, but it's a virtual wholesaling. Slightly different how we give an offer on ODN virtual. Number 3, kind of something I call internet leads. Now, I have almost 27,000 people on freewholesaling.com. I have the largest wholesaling real estate YouTube channel by views. The greatest wholesaling influence on YouTube, if you combine all my YouTube channels combined. And what I found is we have a lot of people that only do ODN, but I have a few subsect that'll do on-market MLS wholesaling, and they'll do PPL. And I think they're ridiculous doing it, but they do it. And they all follow my system, and they find that your system, your offer system doesn't work too well on PPL or internet leads. It's like, yeah, because I think they're trash and terrible. And you're paying $600 for a lead, and not good. And and now all the PPL companies are all cold calling texting. And I believe I have to do some reverse engineering. I think some of them are using X leads data now, which is kind of funny. If you're one of those PPL companies, hit me up. We'll run some experiments. Because I'll be honest, you can download X leads, get leads for $10 a pop because our systems are so good, and you can sell them for $400 or $500. That's how those PPL. Should I make my own PPL company? Because I can get a lead for $10, and I could sell for $500. Should I do that? I mean, I'll make a killing off of you guys, because I already have all the data for free, and I could just no, that's stupid, right? Let's be nice today. So there's internet leads. When you do an internet lead, you got to remember when you're doing PPL, that person, if it's an SEO PPC lead, they filled out 6, 7, 8 different forms. So when you paid $500, and this is me being really nice to PPL companies, okay? When you pay $500 for a PPL lead and that person filled it out with 5 other forms, what they did is they searched sell my house, Riverside, California, and they fill out 5 different forms on the internet or on Facebook Facebook ads. You call that lead, you spent $400 on it. That lead already filled out 5 or 6 forms. That means that lead is getting 6 calls from other PPL buyers on the other different. Why do you think there's 6 or 7 PPL companies? Because they all make money off of each other. One PPL company that I've seen, they'll go out here and they will go sell that lead, and then they'll give that lead to the other PPL company and go sell that lead, and they all sell together. And it's not all of them are like this, but I believe it's a conspiracy. I'm not going to get into it right now. Oh, they would never. Okay. So the thing about it is when you pay $500 for a lead and that lead has talked to 8 other people or is about to get 8 other calls because they spent $500 each because they're all clowns, you need to just call them and say, what do you want? Yes, sir. Let's get locked up and make my small little baby 15, 10 grand spread. So if you do internet leads PPL, yes, because that lead has already signed up on 8 different forms on the internet. You need to, because you spend $400, you need to go out here and recoup that $400 as quick as you can, and you need to talk to them. I see some PPL leads, it had 25, 30 people that bought that lead on the same platform. Insanity. So yes, when you do that type of wholesaling, you have to call them, and whatever they want, try to take a little bit below that. We're at that number because you can't negotiate because you're a PPL clown and you're good to go. Now, not all PPL is bad. I think when you could sell a lead for really, really cheap and no one else can buy it, that's pretty good. There's some PPL companies, $50 a lead, but no one else can buy it and no one else is filling out the form. They're doing the cold calling. That's okay. But I don't think it's a good idea. That's just me. Most people, they'll spend 15, 20 grand PPL, never get a deal, and it's absolutely sad. And so, yeah, I say avoid it. Number 4 is on market. Guys, when you're doing MLS Realtor and you're doing wholesaling on the MLS, it's a different conversation. You have to roughly be around 70% of the listing price that I've seen to get a deal on it, and you have to just do insane volume. And you have to individually call you have to call the seller's broker for like 5-10 minutes each, convince them, schmooze them, and you do that hundreds of times a day. That is absolutely way more brutal than the way I like to wholesale, but you can do it. Hats off to you. A lot of people use X Leads. They use our new MLS wholesaling filters on there, and they're crushing it. It's not my cup of tea, but some people absolutely love that stuff. Now from there, all right, you have number 5, which is something I do. So I will tell you, I do not avoid this as something I actually do. And it's what I call my creative finance funnel. And what this means is if you have an ODN seller, right, off market, direct to seller, needs to sell, and they say, Zach, I can't do 100. Like, well, I mean, the MA is 150. Duh, that's why I did 100. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, I have no equity in this house. They're like, I owe 160. I think the thing's worth 150, but it's got a good interest rate. And it's like, I need to sell it, but I have no equity. What do I do? So theoretically, they want too much for it to work for a wholesale deal. And so what I always do is I always go down pretty much 2 rabbit holes. Some wholesalers go down 3, I go down 2. Now, what I always say is, well, why don't you list it with a realtor? I know a realtor, they'll list it for a price where you can get at least just out of the house. And you might get accepted, I have no idea, but maybe list it for 180, 185, and maybe you get out and you break even. They say, no, I can't do a real. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you just keep the house and rent it out? They're like, I can't do that either. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm not a legal consultant, but it's like, well, what if I just kind of take payments on the property and then you explain and you basically do a subject to. So you buy the house subject to the existing mortgage. We have a whole creative finance course for wholesaling.com, by the way. And that's pretty gangster, right? You might just give the person 5-10 grand and they're like, I walk away with money on this. Yeah. And then you do a subject to. Do it the right way. Do it all in accordance to the Garden-St. Germain Act of 1982. And you can avoid the due on sale clause, all that stuff. That's how I like to do it. Now, the average wholesale, not average, some wholesalers I know, they like to do novations in there. You know, maybe I've just matured a lot more over the years. I used to be extreme 100% like no novations. Novations suck. It's terrible. You're a scammer. And I've talked to a lot of people that do novations. Not everyone, but like real wholesalers I respect. And I've sat down with them. I don't believe novation's a good strategy in comparison to wholesaling, even if they want too much money. But it is a strategy, and I don't think it's a scam. I think it does work for the right seller, but it's like a very, very rare thing. Like, I think even if 1% of wholesaling sellers would accept a novation, I only believe half of those 1% would actually be a right fit for a novation. And I'm not qualified to tell you how that works. I mean, I do, but like I'm not getting into it. I say avoid novations, but I don't think they're an outright scam. I guess I've matured as a person, but I say don't do it. But it's not a complete scam. Versus PPL, I say don't do it. It's a complete waste of your money. Novation, I mean, whatever you want. I say don't do it, but hey, definitely up to you. But for what I tell you, if you want an easy life, I say stick to 1 and 2. The thing is, creative finance will work. You can do it your first deal, but I just don't think that's the right solution for most people. If you just make your first, my advice, make your first 300 grand in wholesaling. It's like, yeah, that'd change my life, 300 grand. Just stick to that. Stick to ODN. That's it. That's all you need to do. Now, when you do ODN offers, which is what I think you should be doing, you need to condition them for a yes or no decision. Now, what I mean by this is before you give an offer to a motivated seller, you need to ask them, hey, are you ready to make a yes or no decision on selling the property today? That's it. That's all you ask. Are you ready to make a yes or no decision on selling the property today? And they're either going to say, yes, I am, or they're going to say, no, I'm not ready to make a decision today. Now, there's really two reasons why. Number one would be like, well, I have more people come to the house for an appointment, which I'll tell you what to say there. Or number two, they're like, well, I would make a decision, but my wife, she's working tonight, and we make decisions together. And I say, oh yeah, I get it. Happy wife, happy life. Ha 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 ha. And that's right. You want all decision makers there. Now, one trick motivated sellers do tell you sometimes is I'm ready to make a decision. Then at the last possible minute, right when you give the offer in person or over the phone, they say, but you know, my wife's not here. My wife's not here, so I can't make a decision without her. They use that as a cop-out. They'll lie to you as a cop-out. Sellers do lie. I am telling you this. And so before you even give an offer, you want to make sure if the person's married, is your wife there with you? I'd love to talk to you guys together. There you go. Because I've had sometimes the wife's not there. The wife says, I don't trust this guy. Even though they never talked to me or because they're in the other room or they're not even in the house, because they don't trust you because they haven't talked to you and heard you. So you still need a condition for yes or no decision. My quote that I usually do is I don't go off. There's scripts you can use that we have in wholesaling.com. I don't even use a script. I'm just usually like, hey, Scheller, before I go out and meet you at the house or before we kind of go more in the numbers here, I don't waste your time or waste my time. Just want to make sure that you are ready to make a yes or no decision on selling your property today. Kind of the same thing if you are kind of selling a car. Now, I'm not saying you're a used car sales and it's like, hey, are you ready to make a decision on selling your car today? Yes, I just want to make sure if you are ready, or if you're just thinking about it, or you're actually like, hey, I want to make a decision on yes or no if I want to buy this car today or not. It will save you so much time. And so, yes, always condition it. Then from there, you just have, once they say yes, they are looking to sell the property, or yes, they are ready to make a yes or no decision, then you can have a good flow of a conversation. So let's break this down, okay? Now, if you are virtually wholesaling, the flow of the deal and the flow of an offer should be number one, qualify them. Hey, Mr. Seller, are you interested in selling the property? Can you tell me more about the house? When are you looking to sell the property and what price? And then you basically give me, then you hit them with a condition and then perfect, then you get into an offer. Now, it's not like you have to go, I have to do 1, 2, and 3. I can't give you an offer. I need the condition. It's like, it's not that. It should flow, right? It's like saying hello and you don't go and offer. Like you kind of there's a name to the game here. But if I had to give you like a step-by-step, it would be, you know, hey, making sure they actually want to sell the property, make sure they're ready to make a decision, and then you give them an offer. Those are that's pretty much how you should do it in virtual wholesaling. Some other people will not agree with me, but I can tell you if you are doing a off-market direct-to-seller lead and you're not buying a lead from anybody else, this is the only way to close a seller. And this is where most wholesalers do it. And not to toot my own horn, I'm going to toot my own horn. I have the largest wholesaling following in the entire game by far by none. My Instagram, Facebook groups, look at its subscribers, all these things. And because I have the largest following, more wholesalers learn my methods than anybody else. And when you have more people using your methods than anybody else, I'm giving you the reason why. I'm not saying because I'm some like almighty, omnipotent wholesaling figure, but I have more people following me than anybody else. And when that happens, people just use my stuff and they get deals. And so I have more people. This is why I give you the heads up. I have more people who actually close and make money wholesaling than anybody else in the wholesaling space. Because more people follow me than anything. It's not because I'm some crazy, like the best in the world of everything, but more people follow me, and probably because I don't charge, but more people have gotten a wholesaling deal from my scripts than anybody else. More people have become millionaires from this virtual wholesaling offer system than anybody else in the history of wholesaling real estate. So you really got to understand that it's really simple the way I'm teaching you how to do it, but that's how it gets the results. Because when you overcomplicate wholesaling, all right, when you really go out here and I give you like a 17-page script and I lay out this crazy archetype, well, what type of personality on the system is the motivated seller? Oh, it's a maverick, it's a this, it's a too much. They need to sell, you give them an offer, make sure they want an offer, boom, go to there. What's the archetype of the seller? Are they an IGCT or a PTF, like, you know, like they have all those, like, I'm an INGH, like, I just do it, okay? I just do it. That's how you get results. And so if you're in-person wholesaling, you just add one extra thing, right? You qualify them, make sure they actually want to sell the property, right? MCTP. You condition them for a yes or no decision. You set the appointment, then you go on the appointment, make an offer, get the deal closed. In-person wholesaling is way better if you can do it, if you're a good in-person market. If you're in, like, I don't know, if you're in, like, East Texas, in, like, Tyler, Lubbock, whatever, like, do in person. But if you are, like, in Austin, Texas, go do virtual, right? Then you go from there. Now, I get asked a lot when it comes to closing sellers. Now, this is the topic today, like, how do I make a good offer? I would tell you, use my offer calculator. I have it at freewholesaling.com, my free wholesale course, or I just use the XLeads wholesale price. Remember, you get 1,000 free skips if you go to xleads.com, and you can try it out for 7 days, test it out. But, like, that's how I would do it if you're really stressed out. But the real thing that you really need to know is, like, when I give an offer to a motivated seller, it's like, how do I have this confidence to give offers to sellers? It's like, I get this all the time. It's kind of funny. It's like, how do you have confidence? And whenever anybody asks me, Zach, how do you have confidence to go close a motivated seller? Let me tell you. I always do this. I always say, well, what's the definition of confidence? Do you know the definition of confidence? That's always what I ask. I'm like, do you know the definition of confidence? And then everyone goes back and they're like, huh, I don't know what the definition of confidence is. And then I always go back, and I sound crazy, but I always say this. I'm like, well, if you're seeking confidence, but you don't even know what confidence is, how are you going to gain confidence? And I said confidence way too many times there. But it's like, I know this sounds so cringy, but it's like the Wizard of Oz. I promise you it's exactly like it. So in the Wizard of Oz, right, the little girl goes to the lion. It's like, you know, Mr. Lion, how do I get courage? And the lion says, courage has been within you this entire time. And then she goes, oh, yes. Ah, it's all sparkles and rainbows. And I'm like that in wholesaling. Zach, how do I gain confidence? Confidence has been within you this entire time. Wow, sparkles. Now I have confidence. Okay, it's basically, confidence is within you the entire time. Now, so many of you guys try to gain confidence. You don't even know what you're looking for. It's like, I need to go north. How do I go north? Do you know what north even is? I don't know. Is north this way, this way? It's like, okay, like confidence. The definition of confidence, this is Zach. This is not the full, like, Webster's dictionary. This is Zach's wholesaling definition of confidence. Confidence is the belief in the words you say and what you do. This is by far none the only definition that I have in the wholesaling space. Confidence. It's a belief in what you say and what you do. And I always love doing one-on-ones with people because it comes out so well. So I love talking to, like, 16, 15, 16-year-old kids trying to get in the wholesaling space because a lot of them lack confidence. A lot of specifically young males lack confidence. And I love talking to them because I show exactly how wrong they are with they thinking they have no confidence. It's like, okay, you know, there's one kid, he had like a Fortnite poster in the back once, and he's talking to me like all the body language of somebody who's not confident, like shrug down, they're not looking at me in the eye, and they're like, yeah, they're not feeling good. Like, I don't think I'm confident with sellers, man. Like, and then I say, is that a Fortnite? And then I always switch up the program in their mind. I'm like, okay, well, is that Fortnite poster in the back? Like, and then it goes from, yeah, that is a Fortnite poster. I'm like, you like Fortnite? I said, yeah, I do like Fortnite. Like, oh, what skin do you use? And he's like, I don't know, back in the day. And I'm like, well, how many victory royales did you get in the past month? Oh, I got 10 victory royales. I'm great at Fortnite. I'm like, can you tell me how to build? I'm not good at building. He says, oh yeah, what you do is, and then he breaks it out, and he doesn't have any ums or buts. He's like, you do this, and then he goes back to wholesaling. Yeah, but you tell him how to, like, what's the best weapons in the game? He's like, well, then this is the best one. Then you got to use the guzzle juice or whatever what's the blue drink, the potions. And then he would just like say without any ums, buts, or like, and I'm like, go back to this recording and then look at you. You sounded so confident. So you have confidence when we talk about Fortnite, but not with wholesaling? It's like, yeah, that is right. That is true. I'm like, huh, interesting. And the reason is because when he talks about Fortnite, he has complete belief in himself because he's done it so many times. And the fact that he has just done so much Fortnite that he's so confident, he believes in himself when he does, that's how he wins. But in wholesaling, he just doesn't believe in himself. He doesn't believe in what he's saying. So when he tells a seller, and this is a common misconception people say, I don't know why, but when they talk to a seller, they actually don't believe that they could buy the house, them and their partner. They actually believe for some weird, they think they're scamming somebody. They think they're lying to a seller when they say, hey, me and my partner are looking to buy a property in the area for cash. They don't believe that them and a buyer could actually get a deal done, which is insanity to me. They think they're lying. And when you think you lie, you kind of, your voice squeaks up a little. You don't sound too good and you get a little weird. That's why when I pretend to be a wholesale coach, I sound a little weird. It's like, actually, the real script you need to become successful in wholesaling is by buying my $14,000 program. If you're not spending $7,000 a month in wholesaling, you will always be a broke loser. I can't even say that with a straight face. I don't sound good doing it because it's like, I don't believe that. I don't prescribe to that you have to spend $5,000 a month to become a success. You don't need any money to become, like you could just work hard to do it. But like, if you just believe that you and your partner can buy a house for cash and you actually believe in the words you say, and then you do actions that you actually believe in, you're going to sound great. That's what confidence is. It's all about a belief. That's what this business is. Now, how do I make the right offer? There's multiple ones. I will tell you that there's two. I'm going to give you two, okay? And the reason I'm giving you two is you should just go to freewholesaling.com and see the other one. So let me get in the bottom. Right here is freewholesaling.com. It's my free real estate wholesaling course. Largest wholesaling course in the country. It is the largest wholesaling community in the country, and it's pretty cool. We just started it this year, and we got a lot of people on it. It's awesome. It's free, costs nothing. But it's like, what's the right offer to make? I'll be honest with you. I prefer the good cop, bad cop approach. The reason, again, why I came up with the good cop, bad cop approach was because this is just the real thing I did to close sellers all the time. And what I used to do was right when I was like 18 years old, I would go ask Rick, my dad, right? And I would say like, hey, what price would you offer a seller on this? And where would you be at an MAO? I was 18, duh. And he's like, well, because I did the numbers, I just did it to test it with him. It's my own deal. And it's like, well, I thought the deal would sell for 100 grand and I should probably offer 60 on the bat. And he would say, well, Zach, like you're kind of wrong on this. I would offer 90. All right. I'd offer 90 and it's definitely, it was like, it's worth 90 and I would offer 50. And I'm like, huh. And so what I used to do on appointments was I'd actually go out here and I would say, hey, I was talking to my partner, Rick, and he wanted to buy this house for around $50,000. Now, I did not use a fake person on this or whatever. You're in the reflection there, by the way. But basically, I'd say, I was talking to my partner, Rick, and he wanted to buy this for around $50,000. And it's because he actually told me that. And it worked really well. And pretty much since as a teenager, I did that, and I got a lot of deals sold doing that. Because the cool part was, if I said, hey, Rick told me we should buy this around 50, I was still the decision maker. I'm like, so for example, I offer that, and they go, that's way too low. And I'm like, whoa, chill out. That's Rick. He's crazy. That's why Rick's not here. The reason I'm here, because I'm the actual sane person between us, and I'm the actual decision maker. That's why I'm here. So I know 50 don't work, but like, what works for you? Negotiate, make 20, 30 grand. Now, you might be like, well, I don't have a Rick in my life. I don't have a Zach in my life. It's like, well, there's two things you can do. Number one, you can always get a JV partner and they can go tell you, the offer approach or whatever you can do from there. But what's probably better is if you just get I know it's a cop out, but I would just use my offer calculator at freewholesaling.com and I stand true to what my offer calculator is. If the AI calculates it, say Zach calculated that because it says, Literally, if you asked me what my offer would be and you gave me all the information, I'd put in the AI calculator, do it for you. So I co-sign whatever's on my AI calculator. That's what I'd offer. And I'm good for a JV on that one. So I use good cop, bad cop, make me the bad cop. I don't care because you have my offer calculator, which is just as good as my calculations. Like AI is trained for me. So that's how you do it. Or you can do the price first method, which is another good one, where you just get the price out of the seller first. And so be like, hey, Michelle, like, what price are you looking to sell the house for? And they say 140. And you can just say this straight up, like, okay, 140 is good, but it's a little too high for me. I mean, would you take like 100? Would you take 90? And then negotiate from that's another goal. It's not too bad. I prefer good cop, bad cop, but honestly, you're going to crush any of them. That's how you do it. That's how you make a lot of money in this business. It's really not that complicated, right? So the thing about wholesaling real estate is it's about just believing in what you do. It's about believing in the words you say. It's about actually making offers. And more importantly, making shots on goal. If you can make as many shots on goal, you can get wholesaling deals. So guys, if you want my free real estate wholesaling course where I think we dropped a couple new live recordings of Rick closing sellers. Not just me, but a lot of old. The cool part about I think the best way you can learn closing is by going in wholesaling.com. I have recordings of me closing sellers in the free course that you can't share on YouTube because of the privacy policy and all these